So, for the last 2 days, as we've been reeling from the Trump win in the election and how bad it went for Democrats, etc., I've been trying to figure this out. And I was watching a live stream earlier of Alan Lichtman. And if you don't know who Alan Lichtman is, he is the political scientist historian who has correctly called 9 of the last 11 elections, and his model works all the way back to the Civil War. And he looks at 13 objective keys as to true or false. Does this model is this work in favor of the president of the incumbent president's party or the party that is currently in the White House? Yes or no, and figures it out from there. Well, during his live stream, he was talking about how his model failed because he was predicting a Kamala Harris win. And he brought up something that I guess I kind of glossed over in how I was looking at everything. And that was, I've talked about how Joe Biden got pushed aside and how Kamala Harris took over and all of that. But he reminded us that Joe Biden wasn't just pushed aside. For weeks, he was dragged through the mud by some Democrats. He's too old, hasn't done this right, hasn't done that right, could do more, blah, blah, blah. But the simple fact is, not only was it the media going after Joe Biden, that the Democrats went after Joe Biden. And he at least put out there it's possible that some of that carried over to Kamala Harris. That because Democrats didn't stick with Joe Biden and turned on him very publicly, that the negativity about Joe Biden and what they had already done, which was all pretty good, or as good as they could do, given the situation. We had Sinema and Joe Manchin in the Senate who were blocking a lot of what they tried to do. That all of this rubbed off onto Kamala Harris, and that people were associating her with a bad administration, and that people's perceptions of how bad the administration was made worse by Democrats going after Joe Biden, trying to get him to drop out of the race in favor of somebody else. Now, ultimately, I don't know if their goal was to get anybody else other than Kamala in or what that all was to it, but that's just something that made me think about it. It's like, I kind of gloss that over when I'm thinking about it. I remember he got pushed aside, but I forgot about how bad it really was, and it was pretty bad. So, as I keep saying, though, Democrats are going to have to regroup. We got to go after the midterms. We've got about a year before people start announcing, a year to 18 months till people start considering primary bids for, House seats, Senate seats. And Democrats are going to have to regroup and get their act together and get things underway, because we are going to have to retake the House, retake the Senate, and put some guardrails back in place to reel in this president that we now have, because whatever the final answer is, the Democrats screwed the pooch on this one and didn't show up for Kamala Harris.